Welcome to the Continuous Delivery Podcast. My name is Zarar,
I'm Csaba.
and it's been a long time. And we promised the last time we were together, we said we'd do it next week, and the next week turned out to be about 4 months later. But better late than never. And Csaba is here, and in the pregame, we were talking about like hey, what topics to put, what topics to select, and of course, ultimately, we ended up with AI because it's all around us, and pretty soon we're going to be serving AI. And I welcome our AI overlords if they are listening. Please don't eat me, but do hire me. Uh, Chava, I think our topic today is AI helping continuous delivery? More specifically, is AI actually helping us deliver code to production faster? I know it's helping a lot of developers write a lot of code quickly, vibe coding and all that, but is it actually helping us go to production faster and deliver value to our customers quicker and increase our deployment frequency and all that good stuff? So I'm going to propose that it may have helped us a lot in terms of writing a lot of code, doing a lot of research, using your AI agent as a good conversationalist, helping you with design. But when it comes to actual production deployments of code, I would say it hasn't really moved much of a needle. And I even saw like one study which said it was actually, I think, as part of the latest 2024 DORA PDF that came out, which actually said that AI actually is not helping us with continuous delivery because kind of like the bottleneck in the deployment process is always the infrastructure side, the deployment side, the sort of security scanning side, and their AI is still not really helping us. Did you read that report, and do you sort of generally agree with that assessment?
I saw the report, and I'm not going to exaggerate if I say I was shocked that there was actually a step back, almost like the data was or the results were actually worse than the year before. But I think when you talk about continuous delivery, I think we have to break it down a little bit of where would AI could help and where is not helping. And interesting what you say that AI is not helping because AI alone cannot help, right? And what we actually had some common experiences together when it comes to continuous delivery. There is a huge amount of organizational decision making, of even entertaining and supporting continuous delivery, right? Especially if you're a traditional organization, because the human control or the human checks are one of those risk mitigations, right? Like the classic manual testing, UAT testing, right, which just stays in. So I think that with that decision, AI cannot help. Like either the leadership recognizes the fact that, hey, yeah, we have to build some automation here. However, and I think this is where I would say AI could help, and similar to a very very good tool in your tool set if we use right, I think it could help with improving your tests and the quality of your tests. So in the end, it could contribute to continuous delivery, because if you improve your quality of your tests, then ultimately you could be less reliable on manual testing.
Well, we
But
don't have to guess because they did some studies on this, and you can see it on the screen. And I thought this was pretty interesting, and sort of like reaffirming because so the idea the if you're listening on the audio, which most people do, this is kind of useless, but I'll do my best. So the DORA survey basically said if AI adoption increases by 25%, and they have this whole definition of what adoption means and how much time you spend with AI previously and without AI. The biggest impact is in documentation quality, is that it increases by about 7.5%. So that's quite a significant jump, I would imagine. And that makes a lot of sense because AI is great at redundant, sort of like, monkey work type tasks. And that sort of adds up. The increase in code quality, 3.4%. But what's interesting is code complexity, uh, the code complexity and tech debt don't really move much at all, and they go down a little bit. Uh, But overall, really the biggest impact of AI seems to be in sort of documentation quality and sort of understanding your code base more than anything. No really marginal improvement in approval speed. So I know GitHub has all these tools integrated with, so you can review PRs faster and all that stuff. So it hasn't made a tremendous amount of impact yet. Of course, the field is changing so quickly that it's hard to assess this. But this is just a moment in time in late 2024. I know since then a lot has changed, but this gives us a bit of anything surprising to you here, Csaba?
That they don't have a automated test quality or automation or unit test quality or any kind of testing quality, because I think that's for me, and this is where whenever they talk about vibe coding, so I did a very thing that I was always trying to do to maintain test-driven development, right? So AI helped me to maintain and improve the quality of my tests. So hence what I was written, ultimately the code that was written for it was maintaining. So my unit test pretty much kept AI in check in a way, right? So I was checking the unit testing my own AI modifications and then when I was vibe coding.
Like I find asking your AI to write unit tests is possibly the most dangerous thing you can do when using the tool. And I want to qualify that question, that statement a little bit, because if you are writing mostly like utility functions, like say you're writing a function that's sort of like, I don't know, checks for null and a blank string and basically returns true and false if it's blank or not. Like I'm giving you a trivial example, but you can get the idea. Most people just go and code that function up. In those cases, I find, sure, go ahead, generate the tests. The risk is pretty low. But when you write a bunch of like sort of conditional logic with with maybe 2 or 3 methods and string together, and then you go ask the AI to write tests for you, I think you're out to sea. Because you have not developed an understanding of how your code actually works. Because only when you go through the rigor of writing a test do you really understand what APIs you are writing, because you're forced to think about it. Otherwise, yeah, you will have great coverage, great everything, but you will not have an understanding of how the thing actually works. And then and later on, when there's a bug, and trust me, I've been bit by this, so I speak from some painful experience. Later on, when there's a bug and you're trying to debug it, good luck, because your tests are written by somebody who doesn't think like you, and you are in deep sea. Well, what I'll also say is that I think it's a good idea to write tests, and then my biggest use of AI right now is actually just say, improve these tests. And it takes up a lot of redundancy out, private methods, and your test methods look a lot cleaner. You seem to be nodding your head. You agree?
That's exactly what I did. Exactly what I did. It's like, but I think the prompt was something like, "What test cases did I miss or something?" And then I give you some ideas. But the code was already there, right? The code is there. Unit tests are there, right? So that's was written 90% by hand. So where I find, so I'm going to tell you, in my personal opinion, where I find vibe coding useful when I need to write some tedious boilerplate stuff that I would know how to write by heart. Let's say I need to write like a shell script the other day that traverses some directory, finds some files, does some pass. Man, it's awesome for that, right? Because I've written that code like a million times, so I know exactly what needs to be done. Like this kind of utilitarian, very very redundant kind of work that you would need, or parse this file, or write this code to parse this file for certain things, or generate some tests, for example. Amazing, generate some test data. It's a fantastic.
Yeah, and also as somebody when you're designing, when you're figuring out how to design something, that is a great conversationalist running POC. I saw this comment on Hacker News. I wish I had saved it, but it went something like, use vibe coding not for the things you would write, but the things that you wouldn't write. Which it was like, tools that like you would like, you don't really care about it too much, but you want to see it come to life. So I think it's a good. That was a smart comment, I thought. But let's go back to the DORA report, if you don't mind.
For sure.
Because we were talking about, does AI help with the DORA metrics? And we have an answer to that question via DORA, and here it is. So it's on the screen. Again, if AI adoption increases by 25%, delivery throughput decreases by 1.5%, and delivery stability. So now we're talking like sort of like consistency in delivery, predictability, um, uncertainty. Uncertainty actually decreases as well. And reading the text of DORA, it basically is saying that, like, the tail end is still the bottleneck. And a lot of AI generated code ends up needing a lot of reviews more so than usual. So that actually slows you down a little bit. Now, I don't know if this is a short term trend or if it's something that'll stick around. But so far, the data, as much as I love AI and all that, and it seems to be sort of negatively impacting the DORA metrics, which when I first read it was quite surprising.
The reason I'm not surprised, because this is what I caught myself, that whenever I vibe code, I never asked AI to write me big things. Only these very, very little bite-sized things just to help me, because exactly for the same reason, because I would stop losing the understanding of my code. So just generate me just enough that I can bite-size wise comprehend and speed these kind of small things up. But I can totally see the seductiveness of putting this elaborate prompt and these giant amounts of code that can I totally see it. And I think we talked before we started recording. The question is that if, like, I can totally see that the already experienced and smart developers are going to be helped by AI, because they will know exactly. They have, like, I hold in my head an architecture, right? I know exactly how to put this thing together, and I just ask AI to kind of plug me in these bits and pieces. But who doesn't have this experience? The people don't have this experience. What are they going to create, right? Because they don't have this. So and it's very seductive. As I
well, I think, and we'll get back to the DORA because I got a couple more interesting some data points from there, which we can show. But before we get there, I was reading this piece on. I think that there's so many pieces out there on LinkedIn or whatever that talk about like how new graduates are screwed.
Yes,
like if you're an intern or a first year, like you just don't have the depth of knowledge right now to beat somebody who is an AI, right? It's and I totally get it, right? But on the same article, I think they made a great point that if you are a seasoned senior developer or senior engineer, if you want to call yourself that, is your market value actually has gone up because there's so much AI generated code out there. There's so many people producing like kind of like boilerplate stuff that you need more critical thinkers, people with experience who can actually critique and sort of play that senior role to make sure the delivery throughput doesn't decrease like we just saw. What did you think of that?
I 100% agree. I have nothing to add there. The one thing that when you mentioned that young kids and young kids are screwed. I was just teaching my nephew. He's in engineering, traditional engineering, and he just needed to pick up a course in coding. And it was interesting that I started with him fairly basic, like the basics. He was learning C, so fairly basic stuff. And I could see how much pain is to understand the pointer. I can see how much pain is to understand memory addressing, references to a pointer, all these complexities, right? When you start managing memory, especially in C. And I can totally see that if I have an AI tool, man, I just have to just type that prompt in. The urge or just the shortcut that is so much there, and I totally understand it. But then they would never go through that pain and that learning that later on they can build on the top of it, right? So it's almost like, because you're getting all the answers. I don't have a good analogy here, but almost like if you never read a book, kind of, or if you never read anything, and yet anybody asks you a question, you can just type it into Google or type it into AI, and you get the answer, kind of analogy.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I also think that historically we've always sort of abstracted complexity away. Like you drive a car, you have no idea how a piston works. You use a computer. Most people have no clue. 99% of people don't understand how a silicon chip works or how registers work. And before you needed to. I'd say about 25 years ago, you needed to know how pointers work you needed to know how to allocate memory using malloc, how to deallocate it using, what was it, dalloc? What was it?
No,
Was it
free? I think it was free.
Free, I think. Yeah, I think free was it. And so we've always sort of abstracted complexity away. So I think now when we talk about, oh well, who's gonna know the low level stuff on how design works? I tend to agree with you, but I also acknowledge that fast forward 20 years and what today we call like essential work would just be seen as complexity to abstract away.
Yeah, it's truth. Like I don't know what the future holds us, man. This is uncharted territory. Like I don't think we ever faced something like this in our lifetime or ever since in our history. So it's hard to tell. But going back to,
I don't know, man. I think people who lived right when the Industrial Revolution came along and they used to have a farm and or somebody who had like a horse cart service and that their livelihood depended on it, and a train came along. I'm sure like human beings at a human level have faced this sort of like existential moment before, obviously not at the scale, but I think conceptually it's been there.
Let's get back to continuous delivery. So how can help continuous? So I think my conclusion was with helping continuous delivery is that let's assume that the decision is there and then the support is there. Then I think just an improvement on every level, like helping with potentially with refactoring, helping with potentially write some better acceptance tests or unit tests, or like just helping in these cases. And of course, everybody has to decide how they're going to use this tool. But I think ultimately can be helpful with the caveat that you have to be very mindful how much you let that AI control your code.
You said refactoring there, and I think we should record an episode just titled "Refactoring's Dead." Because I don't think I've used the IntelliJ refactor extract method or any of those that context menu since AI has come along. So maybe that's a different topic. But let's get back to DORA. I got one more sort of chart to show you. Again, the preface is if AI adoption increases by 25%, organizational performance improves by 2.3%. Team performance improves by a couple percentage points. Product performance, almost no impact, like 0.2%. So I think, and again, I'm going to relate this to, I don't know if you follow the Reddit R product management group. It's just a bunch of product managers who are like panicking on what to do about their careers because AI does all the research and everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of a existential crisis going on there as well. And I just check it once in a while. And their thought is very similar to kind of what we talked about the senior engineers, is that you have all these tools available to you now, yet the products that people are building are not necessarily of higher quality and are not really performing as much. You might be getting maybe more products out the door, but the quality level has gone lower. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that based on my just like personal experience of using digital products. I do think they have improved. I think the web has just turned into shit overall for many different reasons we can get into, like the cookies and third-party trackers and all that stuff. But I was a bit surprised that product performance has almost seen no impact on AI.
I am not. And
Why?
I tell you why. Because the human factor that you have to make a decision is ultimately the same. Like you decide, okay, some designs are there, and then AI can help you to design, but ultimately somebody has to make a choice. Okay, do I roll out this improvement? Do I test this improvement? So maybe the cycles. So I think where AI could help, in my opinion, maybe shorten these cycles, these kind of feedback cycles potentially, right? But there still has to be that human to human understanding of what might these people need, or what might which I think is you still need this human in the system. I had an aha moment while you were talking that what could be the potential adoption curve of AI or the potential.
Hey, hold that thought, because DORA also has an adoption curve. And
Oh, okay, go for it.
okay,
Go for it.
Let me just show it to you right now. I was saving this one.
Okay.
So let me just put it up here. So this is how they hypothesize. Now this is more like, remember, DORA is it's data driven for the past, obviously, but for the future, it's not making necessarily any projections. It's very survey oriented and what people think, and how I think 20,000 people, companies or whatever they interview. So where they're thinking there is that we are sort of at a point in time where we are about to see a sort of almost like a hockey stick type growth in the product performance, where the benefits of AI on products we develop are going to be seen. And similar for teams, even though not as much. So this is a very optimistic view of AI's impact on products and teams. Sort of runs counter to what they've analyzed so far, but there's a lot of optimism in the space, and I think a lot of the optimism comes from just how quickly LLMs are sort of changing, and it's just over the last like 2 months, like Claude's released. After Sonnet, they had another version out. Yeah. Like the integration of AIs into your agents, like for example Cursor, and then you have Zed, and you have a bunch of products that are coming out with deep AI integration. So a lot of optimism around AI.
It's interesting because like I don't. I'm going to say this. I don't think, and very, very diplomatic answer maybe, but I don't think anybody can tell this. Or I like the optimism is interesting. I'm going to bring in a financially like a financial market kind of thing. Maybe it doesn't necessarily fit into our podcast, but from this perspective, I think it makes sense. There are some people out there who are questioning the entire AI companies. When are they going to make money? So they're pointing out how nobody is making money. And actually Cursor had to change their charge model recently because they couldn't make money. So the question is going to be, I think, I think everybody who did this hockey stick curve assumed, I think, the current AI costs. But the question is, can these AI companies continue to offer these services for the cost that they are offering for? And if they were to rise prices, would it still be so if your cost base is increasing, right? Let's say today you have to pay, I don't know, $20-$30, whatever you pay for Cursor, right? What if Cursor's at $500? Is it now still like what I'm trying to say is that I think that monetary factor is going to be, I think, a big question for the future that I cannot predict, and I have no idea how is that part going to unfold. The financial.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought experiment. If Cursor was $500, would you still pay for it? I guess it depends on how addicted you are. I think they're selling crack cocaine here. And if you if you're a developer who is now reliant on AI, like I'll give you a personal example. Like I work on the subway. I used to work on the subway because I used to pull up my laptop on TTC and just like sit there. I got a 25-minute subway ride, just look at some code and write something. And about a year ago, I was happy working with it. Now the subway has no internet connection. So my autocomplete in Cursor or in IntelliJ doesn't work. And I can tell you, it's like extremely frustrating to start typing up boilerplate code. And I just shut my laptop down and I'm like, I'll pick it up at home. Like, because it'll take me more time to write that boilerplate code on the subway with no internet connection than at home in 2 seconds when I just tab through all the stuff I tab through. So if you ask me, hey, Zarar, you're running jumpcomedy.com, you're trying to do something, $500 for a Cursor, I'd be like, rob me, man. Go ahead. It's you. Like I would that. Even now, I think I would pay for it.
So I think that's going to be the question, right? And for me, I feel the same way that it gets very addictive, coding with it, and gives you this almost like godlike power. I don't know if it's almost like I can do whatever I want or I can code whatever I want. And I go into this funny example. I don't really code in Python. But I generated in a matter of half an hour something that fixes some grammar. I'm writing some stuff, so I need to do some grammar fixing some grammar on a parallel processing using a locally running LLM on my local machine, like I'm using Olama. It was half an hour to an hour write that Python code. So again, it's a tool, right? It's not to put it out in production. It's for my own personal use. But I can tell you right now that it would take me, that code probably would take me, I don't want to say weeks, but at least a week to write. So would it work for me 500? Yes, of course it would work.
I feel like if I just follow the historical trends, whenever something becomes like sort of obsessed, like if you go back to the days when like Oracle used to dominate the database market and SQL Server, and then kind of MySQL came along and kind of busted that model completely, right? And then Postgres came along, and that made kind of the first kind of like enterprise type database that is also free. I feel like we are headed where if the price rises that much, that there is going to be an open source response to this that is going to be good enough. And remember, all the data that ChatGPT and all these people are using is ultimately like public data and like stolen, pretty much, to be honest. Let's be honest here, right? I think if I was Stack Overflow, I don't know why they haven't sued the hell out of everybody yet. Maybe they have. I'm not following that. But I feel the community's response to this will be to come up with an open source model, which may not be as 100% of what Claude's doing, but maybe it'll be like 85%. And I don't feel a 95% versus 85% differential in most development tasks means a lot, because most of the time I'm not even using the premium models. I'm using the sort of lower level. Even the 3.5 model is good enough for a lot of tasks. So I feel that's going to prevent the scenario that you described.
And you know what's interesting? You mentioned that because I run my local LLMs, right? And it's not a big deal. I don't even have I have a 24 gig memory laptop, and I'm running this Quen 2.5 coder through Gen AI locally, right? And it's a 14 billion parameter. It runs fine on my laptop. So this is not even a super performant laptop. I could see in the future easily 100 gigabyte memory laptops, 20 gigabyte memory laptops, where you can run your entire ChatGPT locally on your machine, right? So like a ChatGPT style kind of models without any effort. So I think you're right. And what the future will, but in that case, so now the question comes even further: how are these companies going to make money?
I guess we'll figure that out. And another sort of DORA finding, which sort of struck me as not sure my experience relates to this.
Show me.
Is this one? So before I put this up, the context here is that what kind of work does AI help you with? Does it help you with sort of valuable work that you really need to do, or does it help you avoid work that you would rather not do? Okay. So let me just say that again. Does it help you avoid work that you would rather not do? I took that as sort of, and they call it toilsome work. Do you think
chores? I call them chores. I call them chores. I call them chores.
Chores. Do you think it helps you with like toilsome work?
It helps me. I know that it helps me.
Well, ta-da! Here's DORA's analysis of things and what AI is helped. There's 3 Venn diagrams on this one. So for the audio listeners, you're just going to have to watch the video at some point. There's a Venn diagram with what AI is helping with. And then there are 2 other ones called toilsome work and valuable work. And surprising to me, according to DORA, AI is not helping with toilsome work. Now, what you describe as toilsome is like, they basically describe it as, so let me just read it, okay? It's just a quick short paragraph. So while AI is making the tasks people consider valuable easier and faster, it isn't really helping with the tasks people don't enjoy. That thing is happening while toil and burnout remain unchanged. Obstinate in the face of AI adoption highlights that AI hasn't cracked the code of helping us avoid the drudgery of meetings, bureaucracy, and many other toilsome tasks. So this is like beyond just coding. It's talking about like garbage meetings, all that stuff. It's not really helping with that. Now that I add that context to it, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I thought that in the coding world, you would have the fun part and then the chores that you have to do or tools you have to build. Okay, never mind. It's It's not help. I would have to think about it a lot. Maybe another podcast we can discuss about that.
For sure. I think, but yeah, intuitively that makes a lot of sense, because I think, other than like AI kind of like note taking and all that and recording meetings and summarizing them, it's not really helping you avoid the meetings or whatever, I guess is what it's saying. But again, hey, it's early days, so we're still keen on it. What else do you want to cover, Csaba? Do you have anything else that
No.
needs some attention here?
This is good. I think one interesting question could be if we said, okay, let's get together next year on July 30th, and where is gonna be AI at that moment, and do that contrasting of what were our thoughts, almost like how much we were trying, how much we were right or wrong about, or DORA was right or wrong, or what, like that. Looking at that curve, that value curve, that would be an interesting one.
Well, I'll give you one more. We'll leave with this one. I'm not even going to describe this one for the audio listener, but it's called expected negative impacts of AI in the future. Again, the figure here is asking people how AI will have a negative impact in the future compared to now. So, vast majority of respondents, I think 40% of them said that in the future, AI will have a negative impact on the environment and society, a negative impact on career, overall a negative impact on delivery speed, a negative impact on product quality, but a positive impact on organizational performance. So capitalism is here, and this is what it looks like. What do you think of this one, Csaba? This is a pretty
I have many people are just guessing. People are just guessing here.
I think so. I don't know how much to read into it.
Yeah, and you know what? We don't know what kind of technologies are going to. For example, like I said, Facebook, I was reading, or Google building their own nuclear power plant nowadays to power their data center. So when we're talking about this kind of, I don't know. Like it's an environment. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's so much like we're going to look back. It's almost like, when the first steam engines appeared and stuff like that, and everybody talking, and then looking back like 200 years later and looking at that, then we have a much better perspective. That's how I feel about AI. That when we will look back here, I know 20, 30 years, we will be like, I was laughing what we were thinking.
Yeah, hey, we always laugh at our past selves. So I'll leave you with a banger of a chart, man. I think I saved the best one for last. This one is called Trust in Quality of AI Generated Code.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, the finale. Yeah, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at it. So there it is. Trust in quality of AI generated code. So the answers are a great deal, a lot, somewhat, a little, not at all. So the middle answer of somewhat is dominates, where about like 40% of people are in that category of somewhat. In the a little to not at all, you have about another
40.
Another
40.
35%, I would say, not
or more. No, it's like 25 plus 15.
Yeah, this chart kind of sucks, man. Like just have some numbers on here.
Yeah.
So it's about 35% of people who have little to no trust at all in AI code, 40% who have basically some trust. So, and then 30% and about 10% are a great deal, and about 20% are a lot. So basically you're looking at a 30-40-30 split pretty much. Actually a little bit more. So more people are untrustworthy of it. So I'd say I'd qualify this as 40 somewhat, 40 a little to not at all, and sort of 20 a lot and a great deal. This was surprising to me because I don't know what people call trust. Like, is it deployable? Because I feel AI generated code needs to be double checked. I would not answer a lot or a great deal to this unless it generates and I deploy. At that point, I would say a lot or a great deal is meaningful. But unless it's doing that, my answer to this question would be on the lower side.
I think that this is actually misleading in a way, because AI generated code to what extent? What I'm trying to say is that if you generate a little bit of code and you validate, then maybe everything is generated, but in the end you validated everything. So versus you do Replit and you say just build me an application, right? And then whatever comes out of that. So I think the level of what are we checking or what not, or what are we checking, how frequent and how small bite size are we building this AI code out? I think that's also should, because I trust my code 100%. But why? Because I have unit tests for them. So it's funny that. But sorry,
code 100%. This
sorry.
Go ahead.
So what I meant is okay. Sorry, what I meant is that I trust if I have my unit tests for them, but I wouldn't trust it otherwise. So what does it tell you? I don't know. It's like I don't trust at all because I have to write unit tests, but I don't trust myself either. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a very but in general sentiment, I'd say more people being untrustworthy is probably a good thing.
I wasn't surprised. It's a classic bell curve, classic Gaussian curve. If you would stand it up like that, right?
Exactly.
So it's not nothing surprising there. For me, I would love to see when people say they trust it or they don't trust it. I would love to understand why.
Yeah. And I think we'll get the answers to those questions sort of in the next iteration of DORA, where people will have had more chance to play around with it. But certainly interesting times overall. And I think we're at 36 minutes, man. So I think we got to wrap it up. So Csaba, thanks for hopping on short notice. And the next podcast will be, I don't know, no promises here.
We'll see.
And we'll see. Listener, thank you for tuning in if you still are. And we'll see you again soon enough. Goodbye.
Bye.